A month and a half ago or so, 2 months ago, in the G20 summit, where Prime Minister Modi was there, President Joe Biden of the United States announced a special corridor of energy and communications and business and science from Israel all the way down to India. Somebody decided that they want to derail this effort of inclusion of Israel and this huge peace vision of President Biden. India is a very important nation in the world. And I want to thank Prime Minister Modi and the President of India and the government of India for expressing such incredible support for Israel in this fight against barbarism and sadism. I agree, there are many civilians in Gaza who are innocent and not involved. But because this place was taken over, we have to remove that.
Mr. President, thank you for sparing time and speaking to us, to ANI. The Palestinian militant group, the Hamas, launched the attack on October 7. That was a very unprecedented attack. Just give us a sense what went through your mind when you saw those horrible attack on the Israeli citizens.
It was 6:30 in the morning, and it was a holiday. We had a whole week of a holiday, a Jewish holiday, but this was a special holiday where we celebrate our Holy Bible, the renewed reading of the Holy Bible. 6:30 in the morning, we were all asleep, and sirens broke the silence. And when these sirens go, I understand we're at war, because I rarely heard such sirens, and there were missiles and missiles and missiles all over blowing up in the sky, with our Iron Dome blocking them. So we turned on the TV and we understood that there is something going on of very dramatic nature. It took about an hour until we realized also that atrocious murderers entered into our towns and villages. And later on we started understanding that we're going through a major terror attack with the worst barbarism and sadism that you can imagine in modern times, chopping heads, burning people, cutting babies, raping women, abducting old age and babies, and the entire vista of the horrors that we have seen still comes to us every moment of the day, because we still have casualties that are now only identified after 40 days, because they were burnt or tied up so badly that we are dealing with the remnants and the DNA of young people, old people who went on with their lives or went to a nature party or are going to pray in synagogue.
President, many were taken hostages. So what is the position of hostages right now?
About 240 hostages of age from 9 months old baby to 85-year-old survivors of the Holocaust, the worst atrocity of humankind which Jews went through in World War II. Terrible stories, some wounded, some we don't know if they're alive or dead, with some bleeding and hemorrhaging, some raped. And we never heard from Hamas, and even one piece of information about their well-being or whereabouts. We are working as a top priority of the international community. And I want to thank Prime Minister Modi and the President of India and the government of India for expressing such incredible support for Israel in this fight against barbarism and sadism and our right to defend ourselves. So our military operation in Gaza now has to do with two issues. We want to bring the hostages back. This is a demand of a humanitarian nation, a humanitarian nature that must be abided by immediately, and undermine and uproot the capabilities of Hamas, the terror capabilities of this philosophy, of this ideology, of this civilizational value system that believes in chopping people's heads, in burning babies, in raping women, because they want all of us out. Anybody who believes in any other belief, they want him out. So it's not a war between Israel and Hamas only. It's a war of a civilization against civilization. and many Muslims, of course, are on our side of this civilization because they understand that because they are moderates or because they want to have peace in the region, they will be wiped off too. So that we must win this enemy, must.
President, big question arises, everybody is dealing with this question that Israel, despite being one of the finest with technology, with intelligence, how such a large-scale attack happened and how you were caught unaware?
This is a major question, which I want to say to all those dealing with security and intelligence, they have to learn the lesson of not falling into the trap of analysis and paradigm. Because there was a paradigm. We will balance the power with Hamas. They will be deterred. We will open up the border with Gaza and enable tens of thousands of Gazan people to come and work in Israel. They will earn and break bread. They will increase their lifestyle. They will seek peace. Unfortunately, this is exactly the opposite of what we've gone through. And it's a wake-up call for many people who believe in peace. I believe in peace. I truly believe that there must be peace between Israel and its neighbors. But this goes way beyond it. This shows you that when you have a philosophy that wants you to be wiped off the face of the earth, there's no mercy. You have to work all the way through to win and make sure that they will not threaten your people.
The response of Israel. Israel obviously has a right to defend, but in the response, a lot of reports are coming that hospitals are targeted. In fact, Al-Shifa hospital, in this case, right now when we are talking, is surrounded by Israeli forces. How do you justify that, sir? Because it's the fault of Hamas, which is a terrorist organization or a militant group, some people call it. But it is not the fault of the citizens, the civilians who are not involved in this. How do you respond to this, sir?
Okay, so this requires a more detailed answer. First of all, we are not targeting hospitals. Hamas has placed command and control centers under the hospitals. And from there, they are shooting and killing our citizens. So we have the right to defend ourselves. So they have the right to go into everywhere they have missiles. They have missiles in living rooms. They have terror machines in all over the civilian premises. So what we do, we alert everybody in advance according to the rules of international humanitarian law. And we send millions of leaflets and millions of phone calls we are doing. And we're sending millions of text messages. And we are telling the people in the war zone, please leave your premise so that we can go in and take all this infrastructure from your home. Some of them, in my mind, were accomplices, but some not. I agree. There are many civilians in Gaza who are innocent and not involved. But because this place was taken over, we have to remove that. In the hospitals, what we are doing is, God forbid, we are making sure that none of the patients, the doctors or the crew or the operations are even stopped. On the contrary, we brought in to the Shifa hospital a lot of equipment and food and fuel and whatever is necessary to operate the hospital. But underneath, in the cellar, in the basement, there is a war machine with missiles, with weapons, with an entire command and control. From there, they sent this barbaric terrorists to go into Israel. From there, they brought the hijacked and the abducted civilians from Israel into those premises. So that's what we do. We have an aim to bring our citizens back, and we have an aim to rescue the hostages, and we have one big aim to make sure the Hamas will not be able to do it again.
President, there's another issue, like there is a talk of a ceasefire. Is there any possibility of a possible ceasefire? Because recently the Arab countries met. Also, some of the Western countries are saying that there is an urgent need for a ceasefire. Are you looking at this option at this time?
So I just want to differentiate between two things. There's a major humanitarian effort that is being done to make sure that all the civilians that are moved down south from the main areas of battle should have full humanitarian support. For that matter, we are enabling pauses of 6 hours a day in certain areas so that people can walk down. And of course, we are increasing the amount of humanitarian supply that comes from Egypt, and Egypt is doing very good work, and I commend Egypt for that, to enable the inflow of humanitarian aid to Gaza. There will be also hospitals being built by various countries, and we are helping them to do that. In terms of the rest of the battle and what happens then, it also depends on the issues of the hostages. There are a lot of rumors because Qatar is negotiating in between Israel and Hamas. However, we never until now got any confirmation of any agreed upon formula by Hamas to release even the women and children and give data or information about the hostages. If they do that, and if there is a process of negotiations, then one of the issues that can be discussed is the ceasefire, because we want the hostages back.
Sir, so what solution, what immediate solution do you see for ending this attack, counter-attacks?
Well, one thing is clear. Israel must be guaranteed full safety of its citizens. Nobody in Israel will agree to go back to the pre-7th of October situation. We cannot be threatened. And you know what? Part of the issue is that we are also attacked from our north by Hezbollah, which is a huge terror organization that has taken over Lebanon under the arms of Iran. And the real empire of evil here starts in Tehran and spreads Islamic fundamentalism of the worst kind to the entire region. They have taken over Syria and Lebanon and Gaza, and now from Yemen we are attacked, and Iraq. And everybody should be very aware that there is an Iranian evil effort to undermine the entire regional situation. Let me remind your viewers, about a month and a half ago or so, 2 months ago, in the G20 summit, where Prime Minister Modi was there, President Joe Biden of the United States announced a special corridor of energy and communications and business and science from Israel all the way down to India, through Saudi Arabia and the Gulf and Jordan. An amazing, amazing vision that connects all of us together, that will connect Europe to Southeast Asia and even America all the way to Australia. That's a grand vision. That gives India a huge strength on the way. But somebody decided that they want to derail this effort of inclusion of Israel and this huge peace vision of President Biden. Imagine and think who. At the end, this empire of evil of Iran is working extra hours to undermine any inclusion of Israel in the region and any peace process. And we all nations in the world, must fight Iran for pursuing this evil approach.
But do you have any evidence to share that about Iran's involvement in this attack, or what you just said, that it is done to ruin the grand plan of this corridor?
So I'm not dealing with a specific attack. Here I don't have specific information, but just a few weeks before the attack, all the terrorist leaders met together in Beirut. Mr. Nasrallah, Sheikh Nasrallah of Hezbollah, Salah el-Aruri, number 2 in Hamas, Mr. Nakhaleh of the Islamic Jihad, with the commander in charge from Iran, the commander of the Revolutionary Guards from Iran, who is, orchestrating this entire terror theater all over the world. They met in Beirut, and not only that, the foreign minister of Iran threatened specifically against the agreement, or even President Raisi, against the agreement, the possible agreement between Israel, United States, and Saudi Arabia, with clear threats how it will impact the situation. So you can add 1 and 1 and you get 2 because the conclusions are clear. Because Iran is supporting in billions of dollars entire terror machine all over the world.
Did Israel share anything with the Indian counterparts regarding what you just said?
Israel is working very closely with the Indian government, Prime Minister and the Indian counterparts, but I cannot refer to this specifically.
Sir, how do you look at India's position in this entire sequence of events which happened after 7th October? How do you look at India's position?
India is a very important nation in the world, and it was my honor, my true honor, to speak at the joint session of the U.S. Congress in Washington in July, just a few weeks after Prime Minister Modi spoke. We believe that, India advocates peace. It's a very, very impressive, I would say, country. I mean, one of the greatest on earth. And India can definitely pursue the voice of reason and security for Israel and peace for the region.
But do you think India can play a role in this conflict to moderate or to mediate?
I don't know. I'm not sure. But I say that the day after, part of the issue will be how do we rebuild Gaza again? And how we make sure that Gaza is a safe haven and a peaceful place. That would be it. And then we can speak about doing business with the Mediterranean and having Israelis and Palestinians have a true dialogue. India has a lot to contribute to all these ideas.
Sir, is Israel ready for the two-front war? Like, as you mentioned, that you are facing attacks from north now, that is the Hezbollah. Do you think you are prepared, and are you going to escalate this war with Lebanon or Hezbollah?
No, we are not seeking to escalate. But what we are seeing is a phenomena which is outrageous. We are being attacked on a daily basis from Lebanon by Hezbollah and its proxies. We are retaliating. We are carrying out days of battle, but we haven't reached an all-out war, and we are not intending to. We don't want to, but if we are dragged, we are fully prepared. We have a huge army up north. We have a huge army down south, and we are ready for all developments. Our citizens were removed from the border, and it's not an easy issue now, tens of thousands, if not more. And we hope that it won't happen and that peace will return to the border. But we will have to find, and the world community has to undertake and find the ways and means to secure Israel's security and right to defend itself, and most importantly, not to be threatened by any enemy on the border. There is a Security Council resolution which was passed after the Lebanon War of 2006. It's number 1701, which makes clear how military forces cannot be on the border from the Lebanese side, and it's been violated for years. So we will have to discuss it, and of course, India's voice here is very important in the international community, as you also have soldiers in various peacekeeping forces.
In conclusion of this interview, sir, I would like to ask you, India is also dealing with a lot of cross-border terrorism, and we have seen several attacks in the past. Do you think that Israel and India in future are going to increase the cooperation in fighting and combating terrorism after this incident?
I think for a long time we've been sharing know-how on combating terrorism. We remember the Mumbai horrific attacks and how the Jewish community was attacked in Mumbai, as well as many from the non-Jewish community. And we always express sorrow and when we remember that. There's a lot of issues to share. We share in science and technology. We share in doing good to the world, in medicine. We have a great message as two great ancient nations how to contribute to the world, and there's a lot of mutual admiration. So in this interview, I thank you for hosting me, but also I want to express a clear message of affection and friendship to the people of India, wherever they are, and the leadership of India.
From breaking news, detailed analysis, in-depth interviews and explainers, follow the Times of India. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. Don't forget to like our videos and hit the bell icon to stay updated with the latest.